Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
My name is Terry Linch. I'm with Oregon Ufology. I found myself searching for a passageway one day. And that passageway leads right across the complete section of the Cascades, which I'm sitting in front of at the moment. On top of Blind Peak. I want to make sure that everybody sees the type of things that we find in the process of research for ufology. I have located a couple that's sitting here on the top of Blind Peak. She's facing south. He's facing north.
The Middle, Cascadia Guides, a Linch production, in conjunction with Alien Strand Films.
We called, like I said, the crash called for a few minutes and then carried on. And we went down the road. We kind of made a pass towards Lake Houston. And, I come up off the seat once we got some distance. And, you could feel the heat off of it even inside the car. Like I said, my grandmother, when she put her hands on the dash, she actually let the hand imprint on it.
Coastal Bend in Corpus Christi, Texas, and you're listening to the Alien Strand podcast with Donald Ledesma. Buying or selling, visit me at kellygreenrealtor.com or visit me on my Facebook page, Kelly Green Realtor. See you there.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Alien Strand podcast. I'm your host, Don Ledesma. And welcome to today's show. So we've hit number 77 today. And it's a lucky number, I guess. Well, yeah, I think it is. Because we got a special guest coming on today. His name is a really good friend of mine named Terry Linch. I talk a lot about him on the show. And because of the documentary that we're going to be putting out there soon, I just thought that the best time for him to come on the show is now, so that way at least you guys can start and just get a little introduction to what he has to say and everything that's been happening out there in Oregon. But before we get going, I'd just like to welcome everybody to Alien Strand Podcast. You could catch us on 25, 26 platforms, maybe 27 by now. It just grows every day. And, you can catch us on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and alienstrand.com. Check us out there. You can also hear the podcast there on the very front of the alienstrand.com page. you can actually hear the podcast. The latest ones always come out there first, okay? So, like I said, if you have a chance, check us out there. Facebook, we've been putting out a lot of information. A lot of good stuff has been happening out there in the skies. You know, I always say you guys keep your eyes in the skies, but be safe as you drive along or move along the road. But please, before you take a video or audio or anything like that, you know, a photograph, really, get out of the car, just roll the windows down, make sure it's safe, pull over, you know, take your photo or video, and, you know, try to get as much of that information or documentation as much as you can. You know, I never get to tell you this, but you know, you can always report a lot of these UFOs and things that happen up in the sky to a lot of these reporting UFO websites. There's actually one there on alienstrand.com. Check us out there. You see it at the very front of the page. Just click report a UFO, and you can do it there actually too, and you'll see all the latest reports that come out. So we have that, and we also have a Bigfoot page there too. So, you know, there's just so much information out there, you know, that you guys, if you guys want to provide, and we provide you as well, you know, just so that way we can pass along the information as it comes in, especially with all this nice UFO things that are happening up in the sky. And of course, Bigfoot, right? My favorite subject. I love that guy. You know, and it's just one of those things. We're going to get some more Bigfoot stuff out there. Ooh, and you know what? I do have some guests coming on next month. And they were on our show before. You know, they made a documentary, and they just made another one on Sasquatch. Yeah. So they sent me the video. I'm going to check it out. We're going to get them back on the Facebook here. We'll probably be live this next time. Video Facebook chat, right? So we're going to get that up there. And it's a docuseries that they have. And, you know, they just want to get their documentary out there, you know, because they're filmmakers too, you know, and they like to give the information out there to all of us as it comes in, and they have really nice footage, a lot of good things happening there. But we will welcome them as soon as they get it done, and we'll have them on the show at least by at the end of the month. Okay, be looking out for that. I hope you caught a lot of these past podcasts on our UFOs Part 1, UFOs Part 2, and this is pretty much going to coincide with that third series with Mr. Terry Linch, because he's got a lot of information to give us on UFOs. So, you know what? Without further ado, let's get Mr. Terry Linch here on the phone, and let's just start conversating, all right?
How's it going?
Hey, Terry. How's it going, brother?
I'm doing really good. How are you doing tonight, Tom?
Oh, good. We had some technical difficulties a little bit ago, but you know we had to kind of squash it out a little bit. But I think we got it taken care of on the audio side at least. So I just want to thank you for being on the show today, and I know we saved this one just for you, because I know you wanted number 77, and I think that's a perfect number for you. So
yeah, it is. It's my lucky number.
and you know, we've been talking to everybody about you know, about your work. I always mention it on all of the podcasts that we have here on Alien Strand, and you know, we're gonna make that documentary up there pretty soon here, maybe in about a month, right? Pretty close to that.
Yeah.
But you know, before we get going on all of that, we call this podcast today the introduction, because I wanted to introduce you to everybody out there as ufologists or learning ufologists or even practicing ufologists, and other folks out there that are really interested in this kind of work. So Terry, let's go ahead and start from the very beginning. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how a lot of things just started for you.
Okay, well, I was on my way to work one day with my stepson. We took off. It was kind of a dark morning on the way in. We were having a lunar eclipse was taking place, and it was kind of mind numbing, the whole trip that we were going into work. Well, as we got up to this intersection right in the middle of the city of Bend. It's 9th and Wilson in the center of Bend, Oregon. we see this great big V formation of spears right over the top of a billboard and the train tracks there.
Wow.
And we just happened to work down Business Way. Anybody in Bend knows that's where the big post office is and everything. Well, where 9th and Wilson is, where this thing was at, it was directly over the top of a billboard.
Uh-huh.
And it kind of gave us a pretty good indication on size.
Wow.
By being where it was at, it was probably about, I would have to say, maybe 150 feet away from us.
Wow.
When this thing started to lift towards us, and when this thing started turning towards us, I could clearly see the eyes of the pilot inside the craft, and this pilot was a large gray.
Wow.
When this thing was turning, it was slowly turning towards us. One of the 5 spears that were part of it was reattaching itself to the furthest end away from us.
Uh-huh.
And then as this thing was turning towards us, I could see the pilot was making some kind of adjustment because its hand, I'm not going to say he or she, its hand was cutting across the face of the spear, and that's when it made eye contact with me.
Wow.
The moment it made eye contact with me, now you got to keep in mind, when we pulled up on this thing, I was actually kind of bouncing around a little bit inside the car, saying, "Wow, this is some straight up UFO stuff."
Right.
My stepson had like almost no effect whatsoever. We both felt like there was a calming that had kind of came over us.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, when that thing made eye contact with me, all bets were kind of off. I just wanted to get me and him away from what I was seeing. There was too much unexpected.
Right.
It might be different today because I spent so much time trying to get answers to the questions of what we'd seen that day. So, I mean, I didn't even own a camera that day, you know?
So it pretty much caught you off guard. It caught you off guard pretty much.
Completely caught me off guard. I was not thinking I was going to be seeing something that was that large in front of me, that close, and that very unexplainable to me.
Wow.
I really was not expecting to see this at all. I mean, it's we're just trying to get ourselves to work, you know. Him and I end up going inside the building. We're still looking at each other. By the way, as soon as I parked the car, I took off running back down the street to see if I could see this thing. It was long gone.
It was gone.
There was no. Yeah.
Of course it
was
is.
Gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I went back to where he was at, he was still standing in the parking lot.
Wow.
And we went ahead and went on inside to work. Him and I didn't talk again till lunch. We didn't say a word to each other.
I was just going to ask you that question. If y'all conversated a little bit about it before you walked in and clocked into work, you know what I mean?
No, we walked in, we clocked in. We didn't say another word. We didn't say a word to anybody.
Wow. Not
even each other. We just sat there and we worked for a place, paddle shop up here where we were both making handmade paddles.
Right.
So he was always busy in the wood shop, and I was always up either doing the finish work or assembly work.
Nice.
And he finally, lunchtime comes rolling around, and we both walked up to each other and looked at each other and said, "Did that really happen this morning?"
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, that was on January 28th, 2019. At exactly 5:45 in the morning is when that took place.
Wow.
And that's when pretty much my entire life changed. it pretty much all changed right there.
So January 19th, right? So it's pretty cold outside at the time, especially up there in Oregon, right?
It was January 28th.
28th, okay.
In 2019.
So, it's cold out there, and I'm sure you guys were trying to process that information when you saw it. I mean, just working from that morning till lunchtime, I'm sure it was kind of going over your head a couple of times. What did we just see? What was this? And then when y'all conversated about it, I mean, it still was mind blowing for you to see something like that. And so was it still kind of dark outside when this happened?
Yeah, it was. It was like I said, we were having a lunar eclipse.
Oh,
at
okay.
the time.
Wow. Okay.
It was the time of the lunar eclipse. That's one of the key factors for people being able to see more is if it's actually like an eclipse type thing. We seem to have more events during that.
I noticed that. I do notice that when there's like a phenomenon like that, you see a lot more stuff happening. Or these bigger crafts actually are able to be shown to us visually, the larger crafts, not the small ones, but we can actually see these huge crafts up in the sky for some reason during that time. Now what happened next for you after that, as far as like with the life that you're going from there?
Okay, so I started seeking for answers after that. I wanted to find out as much as I possibly could about what I was looking at, and it was like a switch had changed on me. Before I knew it, I was completely I just immersed myself into physics. I ended up learning just about everything Dr. Einstein had taught. It doesn't take long. The guy's passed away. It's when a person is still living, it's hard to keep up.
Right.
But then you have to go from there thinking, okay, well, he's got some answers. And then you go and you learn from other people like Dr. Leonardo Susskind. He's the leading string theory physicist in the world.
Right.
So I've been following him. He'll give you free lectures, 2.5 hours long, on every aspect of physics, and he does it for free, and it's through Stanford University.
Oh,
and it's a free video. So you can sit and do that. I still do at least one 2.5 hour lecture a week from him.
Wow. Well, that'll keep you pretty sharp. That'll keep you pretty sharp as far as like physics,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It also explains the things that you're seeing.
Right.
People keep saying that's another thing. People keep saying the science and the laws of physics are big. No, this is all stuff that we have. You can't keep saying that if you don't understand it, then go learn it. Right. These are things that we can do. It's called quantum levitation. It's called field propulsion. These are things that we can do. We know how to do it. We just don't do it to this level. I'm sure it's where we got it.
Right.
Okay. I'm thinking that's where we got it. Dr. Tesla said that he was in contact with them with fields. He was using fields and frequencies to contact these things.
Wow.
So anyhow, what ended up happening was as I was trying to learn all these other things, physics, geology, I took some courses on geology to understand what the Earth is and what its makeups are. I went and I tried to learn as much as I could about ancient cultures because I believe that the ancient cultures actually are the key, and they tell us everything that we need to know about what we're seeing in the sky. And they're telling us everything that we need to know about what's inside the Earth.
Let me pick your brain just on that topic right there for just a second. What are your thoughts on ancient civilizations as far as like 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10, 50,000 years ago, because there was civilizations back then, because it shows these cities are finding in the oceans and the waters, and just these cities that are buried under dirt and debris after all these years. It just shows people that we're in contact with. It seems to be like extraterrestrials, right? Now, in that sense, do you think that why did the extraterrestrials at the time, why do you think that they interacted with that ancient civilization then, and they don't do it as much here, like as far as like as our culture right now, how the way it is, you know what I mean?
Okay, well, I do have some answers for that.
Okay.
The ancient, I'm gonna go ahead and put us out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
About 2,000, maybe even 3,000 miles. I'd actually have to look at the adjustment. But there's an island chain out there that looks just like, oh heck, what is that? It's the Pleiades system.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so there's an island chain that's out there. And it looks, if you look straight down on it with any of the maps that are out there, it looks identical to Pleiades. Now, this in particular chain of islands that's way out there is in line with the equator of the Earth, pretty much. Mm-hmm. I have a hypothesis on this one because it seems to be critical to be able to find where these things are coming in from an origin. So I'm thinking that, of course, Pleiades, that you come down on top of this island chain that looks like Pleiades. Uh-huh. This in particular island chain has, I call it the exit off the equator is what I call it. And you have a section to where it's going directly, as it's Ving out from this location, it goes directly over Easter Island, or Rapa Nui is what it's called. Mm-hmm. Is the name of the island, with all the big moai on it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, all the big moai are facing into the island. They're looking in towards the island, where you've got these 7 brothers that are looking out across the ocean. Well, it turns out that they're looking directly at that island chain that I just kept mentioning. Uh-huh. Okay? They're looking, let's see, you got Hapa Nui and Rapa Nui. So I think it's Hava is the name of the one that's the main island. Anyway, it's heading to Rapa Nui. Rapa Nui is looking straight towards Peru. Okay?
Uh-huh.
So what you have is, as it's going, and this is all going on, and it keeps going in a straight line, and it happens to go over a place in, I think that's Bulgaria. Is it Bulgaria? There's I can't pronounce the damn name of that little bitty. It doesn't matter. It's everything that I'm talking about goes directly over the top of a large area that has things like the Moai, or it has the Nazca lines, and it has all of this stuff on that direction. If
right.
you go north, if you take this northern route where it splits off, and what it does is it goes right across the tip of Guadalupe Island, mm-hmm. where the Navy has been talking about stuff submerging into the ocean there that they've lost.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. And then you keep following that line, it puts you right over this place that you're real familiar with, and me too. It's called Sierra Estrella and South Mountain in Phoenix, Arizona, which is also the same. Yeah, they had the Phoenix Lights take place over this area.
Right.
Okay. Well, further research after working with guys like Tino Gallegos down there, and working with guys like John Edmonds down there who lived on the other side, both of them having very similar stories. In the process of searching and trying to learn as much as I could, I ended up running across this guy, Tino Gallegos.
Yeah.
And he taught me so much stuff. Boy, that guy, you've had him on your show. You've had him on your show.
Yep. He's got Arizona's Secret Backyard. So, and he's great, man. He's excellent. He catches a lot of UFO activity up there in Arizona, right by where he lives. I think close to the res. So, and great guy too, man. He's a hell of a guy. And you know what? He's going to be on our documentary as well. So, but
sure is.
But keep going on as far as like. So you're saying that all these lines connect with each other, and it starts.
They all connect with each other right there at that starting point.
And that's the starting point.
And the reason is, now here's the reason I started looking at this was because of something that Dr. Einstein had stated about the Earth rotation.
Right.
How it would actually be feasible to utilize to run against the Earth rotation to get from one point to another if you were at the right point. Well, these craft simply, they take the magnetic flux field that's inside of them, they lift themselves to a certain point, and it's 733 miles an hour is how fast we move. So what they do is they take that, and then they use the force of what I like to call magnetic repulsion. This is how they're pushing. They're using a repulsion, and it's magnetic repulsion. Think about how fast a magnet flips.
Right.
Okay, so they're using that as part of it. They're using part of Earth rotation, and they're getting themselves they can get themselves up to speeds of 22 miles a second is what they're getting themselves moving to. Most people, if they get out of their car and don't try and record through any kind of window at all,
right?
Because you're going to get reflections from things inside. You might even see yourself and scare yourself.
Yeah.
But you want to be outside. You want to be away from it. Now, when you see this stuff in the sky, if you were to take and slow down your video, when you record the sky and you look up at the sky, you'll see things sometimes that look like a bug just shot right past you in your eyes. And it could have been a bug. It absolutely could have been a bug. But if you're recording it and you put this stuff into slow motion and you're able to stop, screenshot, and enlarge, you're going to be surprised with how much stuff is actually in our skyline. And this was a trick that was taught to me by
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Annibal, how do you pronounce his last
Anibal
name?
Caballero, Anibal, yeah.
That's the man right there. He's one of my teachers.
Yep.
He's probably one of the biggest voices out there right now in ufology that people try and pay attention to when he starts talking.
Oh yeah. Yep.
He taught me that first off, you can actually see this with your own eyes. He sees it with his own eyes, I see it with my eyes, but if I'm sitting and I'm just watching video, I can actually catch stuff moving past. And 9 out of 10 times you can slow that down and find out that was a craft that was going by. I'm really grateful at this point now that the military or the government has finally came to the, okay, everybody's seeing it. We can't hide this no more. So now we got to say, yeah, you are seeing what you thought you were seeing. It helps remove the stigma on this.
There's too many on video. There's way okay, don't get me wrong, there's some CGI crap out there I've seen, but and then I've seen a lot of real craft out there that people just can't explain what it is, right? So I'm sure that, and then now because they've caught it so much on their radars that they had no choice, me personally thinking, or just saying that they had no choice but to speak out. I just think that maybe something bigger is on the horizon, that it's a possibility that they maybe know about. And because where does this start? In other words, like, let's just say we're going to have a meeting pretty soon with these guys, the extraterrestrials, right? Let's just say they know about it, okay? So what would be the best way to get the public without being in shock? Would be to go ahead and just disclose some of it. Like, okay, you're not going crazy. You're seeing these things too. So that way, in a mindset that if we do see something, or something land, or something get out, or something kind of try to interact, that it doesn't throw us in a different kind of emotional state, right? So, and this is my personal feelings on that. That's probably a possibility, right? That's might be happening. So you're saying that when these crafts come through, they come through possibly from the place straight down, like almost like a, let's just say a wormhole sort of like, and when they hit that area, it's like a magnetic propulsion that kind of shoots them across wherever they want, and it's easier to go across these areas, right? And so are you thinking that maybe these areas, the reason that the ancient people were able to record what they were seeing on paintings, petroglyphs, geoglyphs, that they were actually seeing these things themselves, right? Is that what you're pretty much saying?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you go all the way up through to Dinosaur National Monument, these lines that I've been talking about, they follow. It's a straight line. I mean, it goes right through Skinwalker Ranch, right into Dinosaur National Monument, keeps on cutting right up across. And what this is I believe that they're using this to slow. As they're coming in, they come in on the fast point, and then they start to slow as they V out. Right. The further out you go, the slower it would be as you're coming off of the equator. Right. Now, a lot of people in these areas, they've all witnessed craft. The thing that led me to that right there also led me to, after I had come to that hypothesis, it led me to look, okay, now why am I seeing them where I'm at? So I start looking around, and I start seeing that I've got craft. I actually have video of craft. You've seen all of that. Actually, you have all my footage.
Right. Yeah.
So I've got video of craft that are dropping in out of the sky, and they're skimming right along the edge of a mountain, 2 and 3 of them at a time. I've got one that was the most perfect tic-tac that crossed the skyline. And then I've got anyway. What this all started leading to was, okay, I need to find myself a good vantage point, right, someplace where I can kind of see where these things are moving along. And then as I was working with people like Tino Gallegos, I was finding that these things are going in and out of the earth. I mean, what they do is it's almost like they're going like a 45-degree angle. And what I had read about portholes was Dr. Nathaniel Rosen and Dr. Albert Einstein used special relativity to come up with what's called the Rosen Bridge, which is also a black hole, or it's also just a fast way to get between one point to another. These Rosen Bridge, which these craft are using to enter and leave the Earth, tend to be in volcanic areas. And where I'm at, I have a complete line of volcanoes. And I was trying to figure out where's a good place to see the furthest stretch of these that I could see them.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that if I climbed to the top of a Paulina Peak, right over Paulina Lake on the Newberry volcano, that there's a location up there where I can see Mount Shasta in California, all of the volcanoes running on the east slope, all the way through Oregon, and all the way up to Mount Adams up in the state of Washington. And if I turned around, I can see Idaho, I can see Nevada, and it's pretty much a straight shot out to the Grand Tetons out here.
So it's a pretty high vantage point that you have, that you're seeing everything. You can see the peaks of all these
8,000 foot markers where you're at.
Nice.
You're at the 8,000 foot marker. Well, I started to go ahead and do my scouting, and I was using different mapping and stuff, and that's when all of a sudden I spotted something. I'm not going to give the exact location of this because it's ancient, and if I did give the exact location of this, it would go from a hidden find that is critical to ufology to something that everybody ran up there and took a little piece of and went home with.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you there. Yeah.
It's spectacular. What it is I call them the Cascadia Guides. It's a back-to-back alien looking geoglyph. Only till recently, because of all the melting of snow, are we even able to see this. It was inside of a glacial area on top of Paulina Peak. Wow. that has since started to melt off, and now you have the ability to see these if you were. I'm sure pilots know of its existence.
Right.
Okay. I just happened to be lucky enough to catch this, and then at my heaviest I'd ever been, I was at 320 pounds.
20 pounds, yeah.
Yeah, 320 pounds. I went up there all by myself, and I hiked up to the spot.
Wow. But that was rough.
And it was rough, actually. Let's just say there were a lot of breaks involved.
I'll believe you. I'll believe you, brother.
It took me a while. I've been losing a lot of weight because I've got to go back up there with you again. So
right.
I've been working out, riding bikes. I've been doing mile or two a day of walking, mile or two of riding. I'm trying to get myself up to do this so we can all go up there and we can get some good footage of the location.
Good for you, brother. Good for you. I'm glad. I'm happy for you that you're doing that. And you got to be healthy too. Where it kind of gets you a little healthy too. And don't get me wrong. I'm gonna have to be working out down here too because I ain't climbed a mountain in a long time. So it'll be nice to be able to witness this. Especially since it's been covered up in snow, right? Like you said, it could have been covered up for a long, long time that nobody would have even known it was there. And
right.
And I'm not going to say global warming because I'm not too crazy about that. But
no, I'm not going to go with that either.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go with that either.
Yeah, I just thinking we have. Earth has its changes, and it changes, man. Like every 100 years or so, 200 years or whatever, it's going to change.
Yeah, we're having currently. Remember, I told you I was studying sciences.
Right.
We're currently having some anomalies taking place with our poles, where it's kind of like a rubber band being pulled apart,
Right.
and then it snaps back together, and it's being pulled apart, and it snaps back together. And what's happening when it does that is it shifts just a little bit each time. And every time we have a little bit of a shift take place, we end up with things like earthquakes, and we end up with things like
Melting.
things melt, because now you're starting to put your poles closer towards Australia and Siberia is
Right.
what's going on here. And that's exactly what's going on. You end up with anomalies out in the Atlantic. We have the Atlantic anomaly, which is a gravitational anomaly where the gravity is less in this location just off the coast of Brazil. Okay? Which just also happens to be part of the Bermuda Triangle. You know, you have all of these things that are taking place. Now, you also have anomalies taking place out in the Pacific Ocean. And the ones that are taking place out there, well, that just happens to be where the Navy's running around and F-18s trying to catch up to things they can't catch.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they said that at one time that there was a calculation that I read online. Some guy that actually calculated the speed of that thing, how fast it moved. It was like 21,000 miles per hour. You know what I mean? It was because how fast it just moved across the sky, and still in radar. And I'm not talking about the gimbal one. I'm just talking about the one that just kind of goes back and forth, where they're just kind of looking at it and freaking out on it. So, these things are, extremely fast. It's like you said, you have to see. In other words, like the footage that you have, it's not going to be like they're standing still and say, "Hey, take my picture," kind of thing. They're going to be screaming across the sky where you can't even see with your naked eye. I
actually have one. I actually have one craft that's coming across. This is off of it's a mapping system where they do street type map thing.
Right.
This craft it's like 12 miles out. Okay. It's about the time you start to really see it good. You've got it 11 miles out now. All right. You're getting it in the view that far out, and then I've got it to where it's coming in and it turns. Now, when it turns, the Tic Tac craft, when they turn, they throw out a counterweight, okay? And that's what you're seeing, the little tail. In all the Navy videos, you see a little tail sticking out underneath them.
Yeah.
That's a counterweight. And that's how they're doing it. They can stick a counterweight out, and they can turn on a dime, and then they go from, let's see, the one that we had caught on this, it was in 3 sections of a single frame. You know how you can move end sections of a frame?
Right.
This is in three sections of a single frame.
Wow.
You see it out, it's 11 miles out. You see it turning on a dime. You see the counterweight. It actually looks like it's a face with 2 ice creams on the head.
Right.
Okay? It's throwing out this tail, which is a counterweight, and then boom, it's out another 11 miles out the other way. So this is where I'm coming up with my speed of 22 miles a second.
Right.
This thing, and by the way, there were 2 craft in this in particular setting. I caught this, of all things, using Google Maps is what it was. Street views.
Street views, right? Wow.
Street views was the way I did this, and I found out that if you take and you use the street views, it gives you a 360-degree view. You can move 1 frame at a time down the road, and you can zoom in on anything in the sky.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen one out there like that I've shared on the Facebook there on Alien Strand, and you could see this craft, and you can see it as clear as day. And it's like like on a street right above this house, but out in the country though. It looks like it's in a little country setting. So, but it's this huge round craft. It's not an orb. It's like your saucer shape, man, and it's just right there under the clouds. below the clouds, not in the clouds, but below, where you can actually see a really good view of this craft. And that Google photo has actually, it's being shared out there. And so I know what you're talking when you're talking about, being able to see it in different angles. When these thank you, Google, for putting these nice cameras on these vehicles for that way we can
exactly. It created a way for anybody with a computer or even a phone, anybody who can get onto Google Maps and do Google Street Views. It was a way that I was trying to come up with to make it to where anybody could go be a ufologist from their house.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
Because I got to tell you, when you get because this has progressed, it went from seeing it the one day to learning how to film them. I'll go through the list of the people. It was Jody Gordon. She now lives in Arizona. Mm-hmm. She's a big ufologist. She's taught me how to see things really far up there in the clouds, just above the clouds, and this side of the clouds. And then she introduced me to Annabelle.
Right.
Okay. And then after those two started teaching me all this stuff, I was fortunate enough to run across Tino Gallegos.
Right.
At that time. And he taught me a different way and a different type of craft. So these guys were teaching me about stuff that was way up. And then Tino started teaching me about the stuff that was at mountain level. Okay. Well, as time progresses on, I end up getting to meet some really good ufologists throughout the world. Okay. And all the same people I know.
Right.
We've got the same friends. Hell, we keep introducing each other to new ones.
Exactly.
Coming up next is a guy, Lee Strauss. This guy's he's going to be the guy that knows how to put together the most cool mobile ufology rig, or I would actually call what he's doing supernatural and ufology.
Yes.
He's after Mr. Bigfoot too.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's after Bigfoot too, and he gets some of the most incredible footage up in Washington.
Wow.
Anyway, he's going to be probably joining us, I believe, for the documentary, and we'll all get to see what's some really top-notch equipment and how to use it.
Right on, yes, sir.
Right then. Yeah, he's welcome. He is welcome.
Can't wait.
Anyway, no, I can't either. But what's going to be coming up real soon here? I got to tell people if they've never done this, it's intimidating. It's very intimidating when you're out there. It's one thing when you're in the middle of a city with a bunch of friends and you're looking out and everybody sees something go over you. But when you're on top of a mountain and you're in the middle of the Cascades and something is starting to come up over the top of you, and now all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, nobody can see this except me.
Right.
That's where it becomes intimidating. I've gone up. I've been on top of it was a lava cinder cone volcano. Me and Jonathan Mitchell. He's my partner in crime up here. He's my guide.
Right.
And he's also security for me. This guy, if something goes wrong, this is the guy that I turn to for, let's make it right again. You know what I mean?
Nice. Yeah. Perfect. Yep.
So yeah, exactly. I'm busy trying to film things, and he's busy making sure nothing tries to eat me while I'm filming.
I was just going to say. So, I mean, when you talked about that it's intimidating, right? Now, I don't know if you've seen that documentary, The Missing 411, right? About all these kids and people that just go missing in these forestry areas or mountaintop areas, all over Montana, your area, a lot of people in your area, people up in Seattle, different spots, even in New Mexico, man, up in the mountains. And the most thing that they put together on that 411, The Missing, right, is that these people that went missing were by themselves most of the time.
Yeah.
It was never like 2 people, 3 people, together, and one went missing right in front of them. No, it was like, even if they went in a group, they all split up in different directions, but one of them was never heard from again. And, sometimes they would find these people 30 miles away. Even, of course, they weren't alive anymore, but, they would just find them in different like impossible places within a short period of time. Like, how in the hell did they get from here to way the hell over there in this short amount of time? You know what I mean? So, and that's the intimidating part that I'm thinking about. So, and a lot of people, folks, don't. They just kind of, in a sense, like, take it for granted. And okay, well, I'm going to go try this, but and I know you do too, Terry. But it's just one of those things that you have to kind of be careful when you're out there. And of course, you got your security with you, which is excellent. And it's just one of those things that we have to watch out for when you're actually doing ufology.
Right. Well, the areas that we're in is also known for other things too. One of the vantage points from this location, one of the things that you can see is what's called the Wendigo Trail, and that's the mountain I was watching stuff come out of. I was watching spheres actually come out of that in particular mountain at the start of the Wendigo, and it goes all the way down to Mount Jefferson. And this in particular trail, if you get yourself closer, it's closer to the middle. There's a little lake there called Devil's Lake, and right along the edge of Devil's Lake, this is something that you and I'll touch on on another day,
right?
A lot better. But in this little section, the Native Americans from a couple hundred years ago put paintings of the Wendigo up along there as a warning to people not to be here. This is an area that will kill you. As beautiful as it was, yeah. And then it was just a few years later at Todd Lake, right on the edge of this Wendigo Trail. Well, there's a doctor and his wife that were up there, and he had an 8mm film of Bigfoot walking right across the prairie, right in front of Todd Lake.
Wow!
And it was one of the very first 8mm films of it.
Wow.
So anyway, that was quite a while back, but this is the type of area that we're in. There's people out here looking for Bigfoot. There's people out here looking for UFOs. Just east of us, literally, from the top here, you can see these areas that I'm talking about.
Right.
There's to the north and to the south. There's both areas, and it's east of Paulina Peak, where there's been cattle mutilations, and they just have no idea or any answers to why these cows have been set down on their legs the way they are, exactly the same, why they've been cored out, why their eyes are, all the things that go with the cattle mutilation.
Right.
This is what's taking place all around me in this area that I call the Cascadia Passage.
So there's just a lot of activity going on there, in every direction, pretty much, from where that Cascadia passage is at. So and that's why we call the documentary. You called it a documentary. You wanted to name it, and you called it The Middle, because it's right there in the middle, surrounded by all this activity, right?
Correct. We're okay. And there's one more point to that.
Okay.
They live in the skies above us. They move in the skies. This is how they get around. They move faster than we can blink. We can't see them at their speeds. We just can't see them and make anything really of it when we see it.
Right.
Because of their speed. But they live inside the earth. Okay. That's another thing. Religion would call it heaven and hell. And they've always said that we're in the middle of all of this. So they live in the sky, they live in the earth, and we are the middle. We're what's in the middle. As well as, I just happen to be dead center of the state of Oregon. I just happen to have this vantage point that allows me to see all of these places with my super zoomed lenses and my ability to video infrared and my ability to do night vision and all of these wonderful tools that we have now that we can use to see these things. They can't hide from us anymore.
Right.
And the government the government, because of all the stuff that we've got and all the tools that we've got, they can't hide it from us anymore either.
Well, they can't deny it.
So,
they can't deny it because
no,
we're seeing it in the same spectrum that they are, now because we have the same tools. So, and I'm glad that we are able to do that now, as far as the public, instead of being. I'd also like to let people know, okay? There is no school for being a ufologist, okay? There is no higher education course that you can go to do this. You have to get yourself out. You can't share other people's material and then call yourself a ufologist. Right. You have to go out in the field. You have to do this yourself. You have to put yourself underneath these craft, okay? Right. You have to be the one that comes up with your own thing and then show truth. And people are counting on truth. If you're going to sit there and you're going to make a bunch of CGIs and you're going to try and go out there and trick the world, all you're doing is making this take longer for the rest of us that are working our butt off to make it real, right, and make it right. Right.
Okay?
That's true. It's so true.
You always say it. Get out, make sure you witness what you're, and if you've got other people, please, if you've got other people, make sure that you get more than just your thoughts on what's going on. Some people won't want to talk about it because there's a stigma still. When I first saw what I saw, I got yelled at by one of the best ufologists in the country. His name is Peter Davenport. Yeah. He yelled at me. He told me that I was supposed to report that to the local news. I was supposed to report it to the local police department. I was supposed to contact the newspaper. And I did none of that stuff. And by the time he was done yelling at me, I couldn't wait to get off the phone with him. I never contacted him again. He scared the crap out of me so bad. I thought, okay, so now everybody's going to know if I do it his way. And I really don't, I was still trying to understand. Today, different story. Here I am. I'm telling everybody, this is what happened. By the way, Mr. Peter Davenport was the one that told me I needed to do it this way. I did not do it that way. Mr. Davenport, yes, you were right, okay?
Yeah, I bet you felt like a scolded child on that one. But, he wasn't upset with you because he was just upset because the information was not out there, sooner or something.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, that's and that way they can start studying because I don't know if you've seen that Skinwalker Ranch, right? So there's a part in there that there's a gentleman that he was a local there, and he was like a ufologist out there, right? And he was researching everything, times, dates. He had numbers, he had everything on there, right? And he just couldn't he couldn't stop. He ended up passing away when he was like in his 80s, but he did it for like 50 years or something like that. And so he had a lot of information on all that stuff that was reported. Right. So, and because he was doing it himself, he was actually doing everything himself. And, and that's what you're talking about, that, you should have did this and we should have did that, so that way they can have the information. But they used his information to piece a lot of the puzzles together, and luckily that they had that, they were able to kind of make sense of what things were going on there at that Skinwalker Ranch, right? And not exactly. just because I want people to see it or anything. It's just I just caught that very interesting, and it coincides with what you're talking about. That you got yelled at by this gentleman, and because he's a serious researcher, and just like you're telling everybody out there, if you're going to be serious about it. Don't be afraid. Just do it and do it properly, though. You know what I mean? Like that's what you're pretty much saying. Do it properly to where you have it all set up, it's just one of those things, man, that we have to try to get things as they come in, as far as ufology and everything like that, and just to get it right. I think we lost Terry just for a second. Hold on, let's see if we can get him back on the line here. yeah, we did lose him.
All right.
Hey, we had a drop call. That's a first for Alien Strand, but hey, it happens, man.
There you go.
It happens.
It's probably it's the government, man.
Yeah,
I'm telling you right now.
As soon as we start talking about remember the last time? Okay, this is between us. I was actually. I'm going to tell everybody now because we're live on the air on this show today. But there was one day me and Terry were talking. I think it was broad daylight, and we were talking so deep about the ufology and the cover-ups and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, when I'm talking to him, I'm in my home studio, and then all my power just starts going blam, 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 starts blinking out, and I was just freaking out by that. I was like, wait, that has never happened before, And it's just one of those things. Me and you were talking about. It's like, oh, it's Big Brother, man. They're just making sure we don't talk about this crap. They don't want to get it out there. Not that it's crap, but it's just, yeah.
When we were up on top of that cinder cone volcano with the side-by-side and quad, and we're out there kind of spending the whole night, and we ended up with 5 different fire-in-the-sky orbs going right over the top of us.
Yeah.
In a straight line, literally, one right after the other. The next day, the electrical systems on the side-by-side and the quad were done.
What?
Done. Yeah, they're still, as a matter of fact, he's still trying to get the side-by-side up and going again. It fried the system on his side-by-side.
Oh, wow.
We had 5 of these things. They came down pretty low. See, after you learn how to start doing certain things, what we ended up doing is we had what was called it's called a CE5. I don't know. There's Dr. Greer does this. Okay, first off, I don't watch very many documentaries, so I'm just now starting to learn about all this other ufology research that's out there, aside of what mine is. Okay, so I know what I have, and now I know what other people have, and because of that, I've gotten to meet people. There's a Mexican gentleman. He's a reporter down in Mexico, talking about all the same stuff I'm talking about up here.
Right.
He's got stuff coming out of the volcanoes that I have a hard time pronouncing names. So well, we'll get into that later.
Well, he's a famous guy. He was a famous guy up there.
Yeah, he's famous. He's very famous. Gray-haired gentleman.
Yeah, he's on all their documentaries and shows, and he's a reporter up there. I'm trying to remember his name right off the bat. But keep going.
Hey. Okay, so him and I are still actually looking to get a translation set up for us with a phone so we can talk a little better. We've been looking at each other's work. He's got the same thing going on down there as I've got going on up here, as Mr. Gallegos has going on in Arizona, as just about anybody that would be in the same parallel south, I would assume.
Right.
So if you follow all these different parallels, you're going to end up finding all these different things. And what I found out is if you spend too much time trying to learn other people's ufology, you start coming up with their version of what you might know something different of.
Right.
So rather than going and watching the Ancient Aliens episodes 1 through 5 million,
right.
I create my own by doing my own research and not worrying about what these guys are saying. If I see something get reported over national news, well, that's a little bit different. Like the Navy, well, that's kind of a little bit different story.
Right.
Okay. Or you have a massive mass sighting like everybody in Phoenix in '97 did.
Right.
Or Mexico City. Or now you got something that's not been really refined. It's more raw footage. And that's when I start getting into my type of ufology and your type of ufology.
Right.
Not the Hollywood hyped up version of it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good point that you make there. I used to watch the Ancient Aliens a lot, and then I pretty much turned off from it, because once I started doing research on abductions and going through all these cases and doing a lot of reading, brother, a lot of reading, and just kind of listening to these people's interviews, even in the 1950s, and they weren't alive anymore, but I was able to listen to their interviews and just putting the pieces together, right, as far as the of what was happening to these folks, whether they were in the United States, the UK, Australia, it didn't matter. When they got abducted, they were able to put their story out there. But I was able to do research in that sense, right, to where I'm putting. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that I got so much information, right? It's not me, and nobody's really tapped into that as far as like they changed the story or anything like that. So that's why when I do my research, as far as reading and going into these, like almost like a reporter in a sense, but I'm doing it all on ufology only. So when I go into this, I'm reading different stories about it, and I try to go to the exact source to where it came from, and hearing it from these people's words out of their mouths, and then that being in the documentation at the same time. So now what I'm trying to get at is that a lot of times you'll see these stories, they're telling the story on the video, and a lot of times it's not correct. You know what I mean? So
that's right,
because it's been changed in a sense to make it look a little more Hollywoody or whatever, and it took away from the actual truth and the story of what exactly happened. Sometimes when you do that too much, it takes away from it. You know what I mean? It pulls you away in a sense to where you don't. And then when you see 3 or 4 different versions of that same story, and I know because I've studied it. As far as reading in books and just going into it, that it's been changed and doctored so much that it's not the original story anymore, right? So if we keep putting crap out like that, I'm a producer, I'm a director, I have my own film company, and if I put out crap like that, it's just gonna get shared and it's just gonna keep going on. So just like you said, if you go to the source. You go to the source and you just do your own thing, put out the truth out there for people to understand and know, that you'll get, at least your story will be one of the best and the top ones out there, that it's the most truthful about the event that occurred, right? Instead of putting too much into it or changing things as they happen. But, I just wanted to touch base with you. I wanted to get you introduced, to Alien Strand, the family out there. I know you're part of Alien Strand, and I just wanted to make sure that people heard you and heard at least an introduction of you, your stories, and what you're doing out there in Oregon, Terry. And, I just want to thank you for being on the show today. And believe me, we could talk for hours and hours and hours. But
we could.
But we're going to say that. Yeah, we're going to say that for the documentary, and we're also going to try to get you on a live video chat there on Facebook on Alien Strand here coming up pretty soon. So we're just trying to get all the tweaks and quirks out of that, and then we'll get another interview with you on where people can actually see you and hear you, and we'll talk a little bit more. But Terry, thank you for being on today's show. Thank you for what you do out there in Oregon, and keep up the good work of what you're doing as far as the ufology, what you're studying and how you're doing it. And of course your health too. You're doing a great job on that, and all that's important. And you're important to the ufology community, because all these people that I know them too, but you know a lot more than I do. you get to talk to a lot of them more one-on-one, which is great. And that's why, we're going to do that documentary on you and everything that's happening out there, because we want people to see this visually and just see the things that are happening visually and what you're doing, to where they know exactly what's going on, and they'll eventually have to put it together themselves, like I always talk about here on Alien Strand. But Terry, thank you for being on the show today. I really appreciate you, and we'll get you up on another show.
Absolutely fun sharing disclosure with you today, Mr. Ledesma.
That's right.
We'll be working together soon.
That's right. That's right. And, like I said, we're going to be up there, and we're going to be doing a lot of filming, but we're in the most serious way. So, but thank you, Terry, for being on the show today, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye. All right. So there we have Mr. Terry Linch. Great conversation with him and his work, of what he does out there in Oregon, right? And, we're just trying to get his information out there, so y'all can listen to it on this podcast. And thank you for listening to today's podcast. It was a late one, yes, but you know what? It was great having Terry on there. It's the conversations. He's an intelligent person, human being, a good person, good-hearted soul, and we're just so happy to have him on the show. Because he's a very important part of ufology, as far as doing the research, and he's got his boots on the ground pretty much, physically, and doing this, not just through looking at a computer or TV screen, but he's actually got his feet on the ground, and which is excellent. And we just want to thank him for being on the show. And if you want to, I'm going to put links to his page. Oh, he also has a page called Oregon Ufology. So go and check that out. I'm going to add another link after this podcast, so it'll have his pages on there, so you can contact him. And then I'll see if I can get his email on there. So maybe if you guys want to conversate, interact with him, I'm sure he would appreciate it, as long as it's in the ufology area. And if you want to collaborate with him, please give him a call, or call us. You can still call us here at 361-245-8000 or at alienstrand@gmail.com. So you can send us emails there too. But you know what? We're just going to thank him for being on the show. Thank you guys for listening to the show. It's just one of those things. We're on 24, 25, 26 platforms now, and it just grows, 27 now, I think. So, you can listen to us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Tuned In, every one of those big ones that, Alexa. You could just have them play Alien Strand, and all you got to do is just go search Alien Strand Podcast, and it'll take you to any of our podcasts. Like, we're at number 77 today. So if you can, check us out there. If you want to be on the show, give us a call. 361-245-8000. Send us an email, or catch us on Facebook there. You can send us messages there too. So, and we'll get to you as soon as we can. And we just thank each and every one of you. But until then, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. And have yourselves a good night.
What's up, guys? This is Mike Beavers from The Theory, and you are listening to Alien Strand Podcast, the dopest UFO alien podcast out there. And if you want to find out about me, just go on YouTube and search UFOs over UFO or The Theory with Mike Beavers. Stay tuned, guys.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.